What is good, boys? I am back with another video, and today I'm going to be breaking down exactly how I've been able to make 44K last month in the AI gold rush with growth operating, right? Obviously, AI is at the forefront of pretty much everything. It's progressing so quickly that I'm going to teach you exactly how you can use AI and leverage AI to build a business of your dreams, essentially, right? And I've firstly done this through implementing AI for my clients as a growth operator. So, for proof, of course, everybody wants proof. This is a screenshot of a payout that I got. So, let's dive right into it because right now it's obviously becoming undeniable that AI is completely reshaping 87% of all business models, right? Whether it's copywriting, content agencies, the very models people are being sold are the ones crumbling the fastest as AI takes center stage. Everywhere you look, someone's telling you to start your own AI agency or sell AI services to local businesses, right? There's tons and tons of content littered all over YouTube telling you to do this very thing, right? But let me be completely transparent with you. Just because AI is booming, it doesn't mean it's automatically going to make you rich. And that is the cold, hard truth. In fact, if you play it wrong, it's more likely to make you poorer. And so here's what I mean. In the new era of AI and online businesses, the only people consistently coming out on top are in the info space. It's coaches, creators, and educators who own audiences and sell their knowledge as an info product, right? And ironically, this even includes many of the people telling you to start an AI agency in the first place, right? You just need to open your eyes. All these guys up here telling you to start an AI agency, what are they doing? They have an audience and they're selling info. So it makes sense, of course, right? Selling coaching and info products is one of the most powerful and scalable ways to build wealth online, right? It's super high profit margins, has a really high lifetime value, right? You can collect a ton of cash from each customer, LTV. The fulfillment is extremely simple and it's super easy to scale, right? And this is especially the case when you know how to use AI to amplify your coaching business as opposed to competing against it. And so in the AI gold rush, right, we have all these tools, including Claude, Poppy, ChatGPT, plus info. You pair them together and it is literally a match made in heaven. So here's the thing most people don't realize. Creating the course is not the hard part. The hard part is actually selling the info product and doing it the right way, right? Because let's be honest, in the trust recession economy we're living through, building a personal brand, creating content, and earning trust online takes times and sometimes years, right? It's really hard. There's so many people creating content, so many people telling you to do different things in business models that it's hard to really cut through all the noise. And that's why the people winning right now aren't necessarily the ones trying to be the next big guru. They're the ones quietly positioning themselves behind the scenes, partnering with the gurus who already have attention, right? And this is key, right? Where they're basically helping them turn eyeballs into a scalable info product business by plugging the right frameworks and systems into their business. The key is money flows where attention goes. So as long as you have an audience, you can start printing, but that's the hard part, right? And so that's really where you come in. Think of it like this. The creators and the coaches are the ones driving the vehicle, bringing in attention, creating content, and being the face, right? But without the engine to power that vehicle, it just sits there going nowhere. So that's where you come in, you build the engine, you focus on the back end, setting up the funnels, automations, customer delivery, building and training the sales team, and using AI to do most of the heavy lifting so that things run smoothly without needing a big team. And with all this, you get compensated accordingly, right? Based on how much money you generate that business, typically anywhere from 20 to 30%. And that's exactly what I call being an AI operator. The operator behind the scenes who makes it all run smoothly and scales info businesses. And that is exactly how I consistently make over 44K a month with just a few clients. And this leads me to step one, right? What do you do day to day as an operator? I get this question all the time, and so I'm about to break it down right now. So the first thing is your roles and responsibilities, right? What does that really look like? So typically it includes things like building backend systems, setting up and optimizing funnels. You write copy and daily emails and email marketing campaigns, things of that nature. You manage automations, the sales systems, customer delivery, and sales teams. And then you help deliver content strategies, right? From there, once you have all these things built up, which of course we use AI to do the majority of, you're basically just continuously tweaking the funnel based on the data and the feedback, which is really easy, right? You're basically just making small tweaks to whether it's an email, small tweaks to the VSL, small tweaks to the setting process. And that part is really not that hard. From there, it's kind of like a management, right? So you're coordinating with the team to ensure that everything is running smoothly. And you're basically just monitoring performance and troubleshooting any technical issues, right? Making sure that the automations are running smoothly and really just operating, right? Making sure that the day to day is just running smoothly. So from there, here's what you're not doing. Because a lot of people think that this is their responsibility, but it's not, right? You're not becoming the face or influencer of the business. You're not creating content or doing anything with your personal brand. You're not juggling 6+ clients just to make 10K per month. And this cold outreach or prospecting in boring industries like solar panels or real estate. You're not being restricted by 1 to 2K per month. Agency retainers, right? A lot of people are trying to run AI agencies where they're selling, AI chatbots for 1 to 2K per month, right? We're not doing this. And on top of that, you get paid on rev share, right? You're not just getting paid a fixed retainer. Your income is limitless, right? The more you make your client, the more money that you're going to make, which is literally the best types of partnerships. And that's literally exactly why you're able to make 20K per month from one single client and stop trading your time for money. Because with the traditional agency model, whether you get your client amazing results or shitty results, you're still making 2K per month, right? Or whatever your agreed retainer is. And that's just like the worst way to have a business and run a business because you're just capped, right? And you're just kind of stuck with what you got. And it has nothing to do with how good you actually are at, the copywriting, the sales systems, the landing pages, the automations that you actually built, right? And so part of this also just really incentivizes you to get really good at what you do. And that's, in all honesty, kind of the most fun part about this business model to me. And from there, also, you're not facing unpredictable income and constant pressure to scale fast. Since you're building an actual predictable system, and it kind of works for you, and there's a proven way to run these type of businesses that is proven to work, you're not stuck depending on the financial markets with day trading or maybe getting impacted by tariffs for e-com or drop shipping, right? And you're also not doing all manual work yourself without leveraging AI tools, right? AI literally does 90% of all my work, and I'm not kidding about this. The 10% is really just like setting up the systems and then managing the systems. But the actual systems themselves are all pretty much built by AI. So from there, what does your time commitment really look like? The heavy lifting really happens up front, right? To actually build the systems. Like I said, from there, you're just managing the systems, which does not take a lot of time, right? But it's also not the exhausting agency hamster wheel of constant client hunting and firefighting, right? Which I've experienced before being a growth operator. I had my own SMMA, I had my own lead gen agency working with solar contractors. And that's exactly why I shut that business down, is because basically, if I didn't find new clients every single month, my business would die. And I was constantly putting out fires, working with these solar contractors that were a massive headache. I did not enjoy working with them. I did not relate to them. And I pretty much woke up every day just kind of like dreading my life in a lot of ways, just because I would get calls from them and they would always be complaining about the ads I was running, about the leads that I was generating them. And it just wasn't a real partnership, right? I would just some other agency, they could fire me overnight and just go work with another agency or my competitors, right? And it was just a complete hamster wheel and really burned me out. And that's also like, lead gen and AI agencies are essentially the exact same thing. And so I really do not recommend going after local businesses, which a lot of people tell you to do, because you will get burnt out with it. So, what is step 2, right? Now that we understand exactly what you do as a day-to-day operator, how exactly are you going to build a 20K per month info agency and secure your first partnership/client? And let me be honest with you, most people really struggle to land their first 10 to 20K per month info partnerships. But the thing is it's not because they're lazy or that the market is too saturated or that creators and coaches simply ignore their outreach. It's because they fall into what I call the agency trap. So let me explain. The agency trap is when you approach creators and coaches like every other copywriter, service provider, or agency, right? And you just pitch them on services they don't really need. You're chasing small, short-term 1 to 2K retainers, or you're competing in a crowded market where everyone else is saying the exact same thing as you. And so here's what happens when you fall into this trap, right? You pour all your efforts into outreach just to get ignored. You never land long-term partnerships to make 10, 20, or even 30K a month from a single client, right? Because you're just doing it wrong. And you get stuck in retainer jail, working more, doing more outreach, and signing more clients just to be able to scale. So how do you escape the agency trap and build a 20K per month operating agency? And it's by positioning yourself as an actual business partner, not just another service provider pitching in the DMs. And so to do this, you need to master 3 key pillars. And I'm about to get into them right now. First, you need to master traffic, right? And actually reaching out to ideal coaches and creators so that they can actually even notice you and know that you exist. From there, you need to be able to convert them, right? Actually turning those outreaches into real partnerships, right? And then the next one is delivery, which is actually quite easy, right? Because AI does most of this, and delivering great results to them, right? And if you're able to master these 3 things, you will undoubtedly reach that 20K per month info agency that you're striving for with just one single dream partnership. And so here's how these pillars work in detail. So the first one is traffic, like we just went over. And so what is the best way to get traffic to our ops agency, right? So the core 4 is cold outreach, warm outreach, right? Where you're leveraging your connections, which works insanely well once you get some case studies and results, or just reaching out to people, friends, people that you've networked with online and seeing if you can get connected to a creator, right? This is one of my favorite strategies personally. You can also do organic content, right? Which is similar to what I'm doing right here. I've gotten tons and tons of clients from this very YouTube channel that you're looking at right now, which doesn't have that many subscribers, of course. And you can also run paid ads, actually, and this has also worked. So now if you're just starting out and you don't have an audience, you don't have any case studies, the fastest and most reliable way to land your first info partnership is through cold outreach. And cold outreach absolutely works. I still do cold outreach to this day. And cold outreach really just comes down to consistency, right? And so I stay consistent with my cold outreach. I typically do 40 to 50 a day, even though I have 3 clients right now. This is exactly where most people get it wrong, right? They fall headfirst into what I call the red sea of outreach, right? They're just spamming unstrategic cold DMs. They're getting ghosted over and over again, following overused outreach tactics from the best online gurus, right? Asking people, hey, do you sell one-on-one mentorship, right? That does not work. And then they wonder why they're stuck. But here's the reality, right? Standing out is simple, right? Because there's so many bots just spamming just the most retarded outreach messages that if you just put in a little bit more effort, a little bit more work than 99% of these people, which are just complete bots, you quickly and easily will stand out. And so the mistake most people make is swing too far in one direction, right? Some people just spend endless hours creating manual free value, right? They just create custom looms for every single creator that they find. And maybe they land a client months later after draining their time, energy, and motivation. Or there's the other people that take the opposite approach and they just blast out 1,000 cold DMs a day with zero personalization and wonder why no one replies. And really, the truth is that both approaches are broken. And the key is to combine the best of both worlds. So let me show you exactly how to do it the right way. First, you're going to want to choose the ideal creators. The first step is to be strategic with who you want to partner with in the first place, because not every creator or coach is the right fit. And choosing the wrong ones will drain your time, energy, and potential profits. So let me show you exactly how to identify high leverage partnerships. Really, what I look out for is that they already have an audience, right? They create consistent content and have built a personal brand, right? Whether it's IG, TikTok, or YouTube, and they actually show authority and trust in their content, right? They're seen as a credible or an expert in their niche, even without a massive audience, right? They do not need to be some crazy creator with 100K. You can absolutely still print with a micro creator. And it's important that they have case studies as well. They're not just these shady gurus that are just trying to like sell product without having any results. It's also important that they actually sell or want to sell info products, right? They really need to be high intent and want to do this before you even come to them. You should not be hopping on sales calls and trying to convince someone to start selling an info product or coaching, right? They should already want to do it. And if they don't, it's just not going to be a good fit because they're not going to be motivated, right? From there, it's also super important that they're actually consistent with creating content, right? They've been creating content for months or years and are dedicated and think long term when it comes to this, right? Because without content, it's really just the backbone of the business in terms of actually being able to generate attention. And from there, that's obviously where you come in once attention is generated and you convert it. But if there's no attention, then there's nothing for you really to do in the middle. And then from there, if there's gaps in their funnel, that's really where you can help them. And so that's something that I really look for is their systems are just clearly broken. And when that's the case, that's really where it's like, hey, it makes sense for me to come in and help you with your business, right? And so here's some red flags to look out for, right? There's no audience or very low engagement, right? Low views, low engagement, or inconsistent posting. They're short-term thinkers, right? Where they're just trying to get rich quick and just looking up for some scheme, right? You want people to actually be in it for the long term, right? That is where you're actually going to print and actually build a legitimate business with these partners. It's also less ideal when they actually have never sold anything because it's just not proven, right? If they are proven to already be able to make 10, 20, 30K on their own, and you're the one to help them make 100K, that's way better than someone that's at zero and you're hoping you can help them make their first 10, 20, 30K. If that makes sense. Also, some red flags is like if they're already established with no gaps in their funnels, right? They already have solid systems, they already have an amazing offer, and they already have great backend systems. It's not going to make sense for you to come in and help them, right? Because they've already got it handled on their own. And also, probably one of the biggest things, if they have zero proof or credibility, right? If they lack results, if they lack testimonials, or have any authority in their space, it's really hard to sell an info product just because of the lack of trust that we have right now online, right? Everyone's trying to sell courses and things of that nature. And if you don't have legitimate proof of what you're talking about, no one's going to trust you. So now that we've identified an ideal creator, the next step is actually finding them, right? And so here's how we're going to do it step by step. So where do we actually find them, right? It all starts with choosing the right market to focus on. And in the world of info products, every successful offer falls under one of these three big markets. It's either wealth, right? Make money, health, or relationships. Every single info product that is printing online right now falls under one of these three niches, right? And so for this breakdown, we're going to focus on the wealth niche though. Health and relationships are great, but by far the best one of these three is wealth or helping people make more money, right? And so we're going to use ChatGPT to come up with some sub niches, right? Because obviously making money is way too broad. And so this is the prompt that I use. And here's a list of 20 that it gave me. And here's some of them that I really like that are actually really printing when it comes to selling info products, right? So Amazon FBA, print on demand is absolutely crushing right now, or Etsy digital products, right? A lot of female creators are pushing this, and it's crushing for them. And a lot of them don't have good systems. So I definitely would look into that one. Airbnb and short-term rental arbitrage is also a really good one. Turo car rental businesses, absolutely crushing. Credit repair and personal credit building, business credit and funding coaching, and digital real estate, right? Whether it's wholesale, flipping houses, Section 8, things of that nature. So I definitely would recommend looking into those niches. And so use YouTube to find these potential partnerships, right? Why YouTube? It's because creators and coaches already have attention, right? Many creators who've been creating content for years now want to launch and scale their info products, especially when they're putting all this time and effort into YouTube, right? And with YouTube, it's such a high trust platform, right? YouTube builds deep trust and authority compared to short form platforms like Instagram and TikTok that is just basically just talking to a brain rot audience that just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And there's a ton of untapped potential when it comes to YouTube as well, as there's a ton of creators selling low ticket communities or digital products, right? Where you can tell them, hey, let me come in and help you build out your high ticket program. And they also have massive funnel gaps, right? These guys are really like true content creators where they don't really understand the actual systems and the actual proper conversion mechanisms on the back end. And so most of these coaches just have a ton of leaks or missing pieces in their funnels, and they don't have time to fix them, right? Which is obviously where you come in. And so the action items for this is really to search for keywords related to your sub niche, right? That we identified from ChatGPT on YouTube, and start spotting creators who could become potential partners. From there, just build a lead list on Google Sheets or Notion of 20 to 30 coaches and creators with gaps in their funnels. And so, number 3, here is my hybrid outreach method, right? Where we're not going too far in each direction. We're kind of doing a combination of both. So once you've built your list of potential creators and coaches to partner with, the next step is simple. You need to reach out to them, of course. And as we covered, some take the hope and pray approach of just copy pasting DMs to everyone and throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping that something sticks. And others do the exact opposite, and they just do ultra tailored messages for every single prospect, only to get inconsistent results, right? It's super hard to stay consistent with that strategy just because it takes so much effort. It's super low volume, and you're likely to get very little responses, right? And neither is sustainable at the end of the day, which is why I developed what I call the hybrid outreach method. So with this, the high value outreach, and so for the top 10% of leads, right? If you built a list of 30 creators, you would probably just do this for about 3 of them, right? And you use a precise spear, right? This is your hyper personalized outreach aimed to high value leads that are more likely to convert, right? So with these guys, you do deep research. You really properly funnel hack them and understand their systems. And you really identify those gaps that they're missing, right? From there, you'll actually film a custom loom for them. You'll give them direct value using these AI tools, right? You'll help them maybe come up with a new funnel, or you'll help them come up with a new VSL script, right? Where you're actually creating these assets for them with AI, and you're letting AI do 90% of the work, and then you're just sending it to them and showing them the value that you could provide them. And you really want to make sure that you're making this as personal as possible, using their content, their voice, and their niche by doing that extra research, right? To showing really the quality of work that you're able to produce. And then the other side of the coin is the high volume outreach strategy, right? This is for the other 90% of the leads, right? You cast a wide net. This is your high volume, a less personalized outreach that catches lots of general leads quickly, right? A systemized script, right? Slight personalization or compliment. Then you're going to tell them the benefits of working with you, why they should care, and then you just destroy any possible objection by just making it a no-brainer, right? From there, if they respond, then you can send them a personalized loom going deeper into the details of how you can help them. All right, so phase 2 when it comes to this is actually converting them, right? Once you've built your list and started reaching out with the hybrid outreach method, the next step is actually turning those conversations into an actual partnership, right? And this is where you you set them, right? You actually get them booked onto a call, right? From there, once they're on a call, you position your offer, and then you actually obviously close them on that sales call. So the sales call structure is quite simple. So the first 2 to 3 minutes is really just going to be connecting with them, building a rapport, and just really just feeling them out and getting to really just understand, get to know them and understand them, right? From there, you want to really dive deeper into their situation, right? This is about the next 5 to 7 minutes where you really understand their current challenges and really what they're struggling with and why they're not scaling further, right? From there, it's really important that you get them in that dream state, right, of really understanding what their goals are, right, and why they want to achieve those goals. So really get a lot of clarity on what they want to achieve, right? Maybe they're at 20K right now and they want to scale to 50K really badly, but also uncover why they want to get there, right? Is it because they want just more freedom? Is it because maybe they want to pay off their parents' debt or pay off their house? Right? Really dig deep as to what is motivating them, because this will really tell you a lot about the person. From there, you're going to want to uncover the problems, right? They're at 20K per month right now and they want to get to 50, right? What's holding them back? Why aren't they able to do this, right? And this will really allow you to position your offer, right, in the right way, right? When it comes to actually pitching them and closing them. So once you have, their current situation, their goals, and the bottlenecks or problems that's stopping them from getting to those goals, you can transition to your offer, right, which is the solution to their problems, right? And so you present them exactly what you can do and how you can help them, and you really position them as the bridge, right? The solution to their problems, like I said. So from there, at the very end of the call, it's really important that you get their commitment, right? Let them and make them realize that they need this solution right now. And you're the person that can help them get to their goals, because that is the most important thing. Don't sell them on just the deliverables, right? The deliverables are the deliverables. Sell them on you are the thing that's going to help them actually get to their goals. And that is really what's going to convince someone that you're the right fit, and they want to work with you as opposed to anyone else. So phase 3 from there is actually delivering them results, right? Now that you've secured your first info partnership, it's time to actually get building, right? Because the creator's audience and content are your launch pad. Your job is to build and launch the rocket, right? Which is the funnels, the systems, and the teams that turn that foundation into a scalable info business. So let's break down exactly what you're responsible for building, right? You're responsible for building and optimizing the sales funnel, right? So whether it's writing their VSL, building their landing pages, start crafting emails and automations, right? When someone actually opts in to book a call, it's important for them to get emails, right? That's just nurturing them, giving more information about the offer. And so you're going to write these emails and then just automate it, right? So the email just gets sent automatically to all these leads. Potentially, you're going to build out a webinar funnel or a free training funnel or free community funnel, right? These are some other things that you might do for them. From there as well, you're going to set up backend systems and automations, right? Lead nurturing, right? So kind of similar to what I just mentioned with those automated emails, or follow-up sequences, making sure that people actually show up to their sales calls and just sending them reminders. Payment systems, you're going to set up their CRM, which is obviously tied to their sales systems and processes. You're going to set up Zapier, which is an automation software, and also ManyChat, right? So all their DMs and their IG opt-ins are just fully automated as well. From there, you're going to hire and manage the sales team, right? So you're going to hire and manage the appointment setters, the closers, and then you're going to track all of the commissions so that your client obviously doesn't have to worry about that, which is actually a lot simpler than it might seem. And then obviously from there, once you have all these things set up, you're going to manage the operations and just keep scaling from there, right? So project management, right? Make sure everything's running smoothly, all the launches are running smoothly, everything's ongoing and just chilling, right? From there, obviously, you're going to keep coordinating with the team. You're going to keep building different growth systems. Maybe you'll launch paid ads, things of that nature, right? So really the key takeaways from all this is, as the input operator, you build the rocket, right? A system of moving parts that must work smoothly together, right? So you'll build all these different systems, like I mentioned, and then you just need to keep managing them. And the management probably takes 1 to 2 hours a day tops per client, which is super doable, of course, right? And so to make it easier to understand, I've broken down the entire process into clear flow chart from onboarding clients and market research all the way to scaling and printing cash. So let's walk through each step so you see how everything connects and why each piece matters in building a scalable info business. So when it comes to actually scaling your clients and getting them amazing results, right? So first, you're going to want to onboard them and set up clear communication channels, right? Whether it's Slack, Discord, or WhatsApp. Typically, I use Discord and WhatsApp. For WhatsApp, it's just communication directly with the client and my team. So we'll have a group chat. And then Discord is typically where we'll also add the client, but that's really for the sales team, right? And so we'll run a ton of automations to that Discord. And make sure all the communication with the sales team is directly through Discord. I recommend Discord because it's free and it has all the same functionality as Slack. Slack, you do have to pay, which I just don't really see the point. From there, once your client is onboarded and you have those communication channels, you're going to dive directly into market research and get really clear on the ICP or your ideal client profile and the exact demographic of people that your product is for, right? And so really getting clear on this is super important so that you can actually craft an irresistible offer, right? If you don't know who your offer is helping, right? Is it an 18-year-old that's just freshly out of high school and he doesn't want to go to college? Or is it maybe someone who's been working a 9 to 5 and they're unhappy and they want, to escape the matrix and start making money online, right? Those are two very different people and very different ICPs, and you would want to sell the offer differently depending on who that is. And so get really clear with your creator, your audience, or the creator's audience, and really craft the offer based around the ICP that you identify. And so obviously that is the next step, right? Once you get clear on the market research and the ICP, you're going to craft an irresistible offer, right? Whether it's low ticket, high ticket, you're going to identify the dream outcome, right? What's the dream outcome after this program, right? Is the dream to make 10K per month? Is it to start, it really just depends, right? So you really need to identify this. What is the perceived likelihood of achieving this goal, right? And so maybe making some guarantees or things of that nature. How quickly can they achieve those goals, right? Is it a 3-month program? Is it a 6-month program? Is it a 1-year program, right? You need to really craft that and make that part of your offer. And how much effort and sacrifice is it going to take them to get to this dream outcome, right? Are some of the aspects of the program done for you? Is it all done with you? Is it do it yourself, right? You need to really get really clear on what you're selling, right? And once you've identified all these things, you can go on to actually building out the funnel and marketing assets, right? So building out all the marketing emails, all the lead magnets, building out the content strategies, as well as obviously the marketing messaging, building out the funnels, the VSLs, all of those things you'll start building out once you're clear on your ICP and the actual offer that you're selling, right? Because everything in the funnel is going to be based on those two things. From there, you actually create those assets and start implementing them. And once all of those things are built and in place, you can start generating traffic and driving traffic to those funnels, right? Driving traffic to those lead magnets, things of that nature, right? Once people are in the funnel, right, they're getting converted by the VSL, they're getting converted by the lead magnets, things of that nature. It's important that you have, your sales team in place, right? So you'll hire the setters, the closers, you'll get them onboarded onto the CRM, you'll train them up, and they'll start taking calls, right? From there, you'll get really clear on the sales process, right? So you'll have, a setting script, a triaging script, a DM script, a closing script, and all of your follow-up systems, right? Reminders, make sure people are showing up to their actual calls, which is really everything of what consists of a sales process, right? So you make sure all those things are in place, you'll get them implemented, and that's the proven process, right? From there, you will start printing cash. And once you see how everything is going, right, you'll start to get capped, right? Maybe you're at that 40K per month for your client, and you're like, damn, okay, what do I need to fix? What do I need to improve to get it to 60K per month, right? And that is what just managing the offer looks like. And that's really what's going to get you to actually scale the offer. So now that you understand phase 2, which is actually getting that 20K per month with a single partnership, I'm going to get into the founder's roadmap, right? How do you get from 20K as an info agency per month to 50K, 100K per month? And so I'm going to break it down, right? Because now at this point, you really understand the core of delivering results and building a scalable info business. Now it's time to zoom out and look at the bigger picture, right? Because the truth is hitting 20, 30K a month in the info space is just the starting point, right? That's really what's going to give you the freedom, but there's so much more that you can achieve, and info agencies are extremely scalable, right? And so right now you're in stage 1, you're at the foundation stage, you're laying down the right building blocks, right? You're building your credibility as an info operator in the space. You're developing proven frameworks, right? You're really testing all these different systems and these different strategies and seeing what works for you and what doesn't. And you're creating a strong portfolio of case studies, right? And you're setting up the systems that will allow you to scale to that 15 to 30K per month, right? That is really stage 1. But once your foundation is firmly in place and you've secured 1 or 2 solid case studies, you're going to start to move into stage 2, which is really scaling over the next 12 months. And so when it comes to actually scaling your info agency, really what you're going to want to do is start to expand your team to increase the capacity and being able to take on more clients efficiently, right? Obviously, there's a lot of work that goes into each client. And so you can start to hire out, maybe a copywriter, or you can hire out a sales manager, or you can hire out someone that helps with their clients' content, right? Whatever part that you don't really love to take care of, it's really easy to just outsource it and find a killer who's better at you at copywriting, for example. From there, you can actually start to add new service tiers to diversify your offerings. So maybe you start bringing on, you want to run paid ads for every single one of your clients, right? Maybe you bring on a media buyer to do that for you, right? That's an amazing way to actually scale and provide more value to your clients. And then obviously from there, you're building bigger partnerships that open doors to larger and more lucrative opportunities. And that's really phase 2, where you really take things to the next level once you implement these things. And then from there, once your team is growing and you've added new services, it's time to move to stage 3, where you really just start to dominate the market and just stand out from the rest, right? At this point, you really establish yourself as a known expert in the info space. You're exploring acquisition or partnership opportunities to scale faster, right? You're really starting to bringing a lot more clients more consistently. You're getting a lot more referrals. People are coming to you inbound, things of that nature. You might start launching franchises or license models, right? Which is kind of another step I'll probably get into in other videos. And you plan your exit to turn the agency into a sellable asset, right? Agencies are extremely sellable, contrary to popular belief. And so you really start to build your agency around this and really just start to hit escape velocity, right? So here's what most people miss though. Most agency owners, closers, and copywriters aren't stuck because they're lazy. They're stuck because they're playing the wrong vehicle, chasing low-paying clients, and selling services business owners don't really value, and just burning themselves out just to make a few grand a month. Meanwhile, others are quietly building info agencies that print 10, 20, even 30K per month off one solid partnership like we just discussed, right? With AI and smart systems doing 80% of the heavy lifting. I'm literally living proof of that, where I make 44K a month just by running an info product agency and partnering with creators and living my dream life, right? And if you want to do the same and build a 20K per month growth operating agency, you can click the first link in the description and apply to work with me one-on-one, where I'll literally guarantee you a growth operating client in the next 90 days, right? And so with this, I literally will go and close these creators for you and hand them over to you, right? And so if that sounds interesting at all, you can go ahead and apply below. Not everyone's going to be the best fit for this. But if you're serious about growth operating and truly want to get into this, you know where to go. So I hope you guys like this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.